All right, so today we're looking at our target 1 notes, looking at transformations of functions. This top part here, we're just going to summarize what putting all these things in a function rule does to a function. So this plus k at the end shifts the graph up whatever k is. This minus k at the end shifts the function down k units. Okay. So if you're looking at adding or subtracting outside the parentheses, that's a vertical shift. Plus means up, minus means down. Whereas the next two, now we're doing something inside the parentheses. And remember, that's kind of the opposite of what you'd think. So that plus h in parentheses, that's actually going to move you to the left. And then the minus h shifts right that many units. Okay. The next two have to do with a negative. So first I see a negative on the outside of the function, and that's going to be a reflection over the x-axis. And then when you have the negative on the inside of the parentheses, that's reflect over the y-axis. Lastly, we have a multiplier, and that's going to be a vertical stretch by a factor of whatever a is. Okay? In other words, that's going to make the whole graph either taller or shorter. And so essentially with those, whatever the value of a is, you multiply the y-coordinates of that point to get the new ordered pair. So we'll kind of look at that below here. Okay, so our example problem, we've got this arbitrary function, and we're going to transform it. So looking at number 1, I can see I'm going to take the function, and I'm going to add 2 at the end. So I always make myself a note of how that's transforming the function. So it's moving everything up 2 units. So I'm going to take the original function, and I just work left to right. I have an ordered pair at negative 4, 0. I need to move that up 2 units. So now it's here. And I'm just going to do that with every point that's kind of labeled on the graph. I'm just going to take it and move it up 2 units. And then I'm going to connect my graph. And so I can see from the parent function to this new one, it's just the whole thing's been moved up 2 units. In number 2, because I have a plus 1 in the parentheses, that's going to move everything left 1 unit. So again, I'm going to go back to the original function. That first point's at negative 4, 0. I'm going to move that left 1 unit. I'm going to do the same with all the other points. And then again, just connect them. Okay. So take a minute, see if you can do 3, 4, 5. Press pause on the video, and then let's check back and see how you did. All right, so let's check in and see how we did on 3, 4, and 5. So on number 3, this minus 2 in parentheses is going to move us right 2, and then the plus 1 at the end is going to move it up 1. So I'm going to go to the original point, negative 4, 0. I'm going to move it right 2, up 1, and redraw that new point. Okay, then negative 2, move it right 2, up 1. And then that 0.40, when I move it right to, it's a little bit off the graph, but that's okay. It'll be there. Okay. Number 4, this negative outside the front is a reflection over the x-axis. And then that -2 at the end moves everything down too. So we're going to do the reflection first and then move the point down too. So that first point I see is at -40. Remember, this is my x-axis here. So if I reflect the point -40 over the x-axis, because it's on the x-axis, it just stays there. But then I need to move it down 2, and it ends up here. Now when I look at -2, 2, see how that's 2 units below the x-axis. When I reflect it over the x-axis, it'll be 2 units above the x-axis. So that'll be right here. And then I need to move it down 2. That'll end up here. Let me erase these other guys. Okay. So my next point was at 0, 0. Again, since that's on the x-axis, reflecting it doesn't change it, but then I need to move it down 2. And my next point was at 2, 2. It's 2 units above the x-axis. When I reflect it over the x-axis, it'll be 2 units below. And then I still need to move it down 2. That's right here. And the 0.40, the reflection over the x-axis doesn't move it, but then I need to move it down 2. So you can see what happened here is it's kind of flipped upside down from the original, and everything has been moved down too. All right, lastly, number 5. This is a vertical stretch of 2. So in the original parent function, I'm going to take the y-coordinate and multiply it by that factor of 2. So that first point's at -40. If I take the y-coordinate of 0 and multiply it by 2, it's still 0. So that point doesn't change. But the next point is -2, -2. If I take that y value and multiply it by 2, it becomes -2, -4. The next one's 0, 0. Y-coordinate doesn't change. The next one's 2, 2, so that'll become 2, 4. The next one's 4, 0. That one doesn't change either. So now you can see when we draw this in and compare it to the original, it's just kind of been stretched vertically. Everything became taller. So that's kind of some practice with transforming functions.